talk about the fear to run a class. So I want to go back to the Thomaz of 15 years old, 16. I don't know when you started running classes as a coach o un maestro. No sé cuándo fue tu primera clase. Pero me gustaría un poco que nos contases qué recuerdas de ese momento en el que te plantaste delante de 10, 15, 9 personas, 6, y empezaste a dar tu primera clase, y ese miedo, ese respeto, ese gusanillo en el estómago que creo que todos los entrenadores sentimos en algún momento.
For sure, yeah. So I've been very shy my whole life. Like I remember.
You will never say that, man.
Yeah,
Now you have
no.
to complete back.
People don't believe it. I'm like, I'm nervous every time I meet someone, all the time still. But I've learned to process it in a way, right? So when I was young, 16 or so, I started to teach some private lessons. So my dad was the main teacher of the school. My brother would teach some group classes. We had a couple other instructors, but I would teach private lessons. And then when I got my brown belt, after college, around 21 or so, then I started to teach some group classes. My dad helped me a lot with, okay, be a little bit louder. We did some instructors training where we would teach a class just with instructors and, okay, adjust this, adjust that. That helped. I remember that helping me a lot. And I took some public speaking classes in college that helped me a lot as well.
Okay.
And I think the biggest thing for me is just, I know jiu-jitsu. So I know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And even now, I think the biggest change for me in the last 5, 6 years has been also, I know what I don't know. And people ask me, I'm like, I don't really know, And I had a student one time, a couple years ago, ask me, what about this move? And I said, I've never seen it. You've never seen it? I was like, oh, there's a lot of moves I've never seen,
Okay.
I'm very comfortable saying I don't know now, which I think,
Super important.
Yeah, it's important, because I will say, let's figure it out. Let's try something. Let's try this, let's try that, or I'll tell my students, try it out. Let me know how it goes. Sometimes I'm teaching a class, I will do a move like, oh, that might work. I don't know. You guys try it. Let me know if it does, So I think some things I know for sure. And I'm like, no, this is the right way to do it. This is the wrong way to do it. So I think that having that confidence in knowing and having the expertise helped me a lot. The more I started to break things down into very small details, I started to, okay, this I can talk about.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for sure, one of the things that you said, el decir que no lo sabes y que no tienes por qué saberlo todo, pero estoy aquí como para ayudar. It's like I'm here to help and I'm here to make you better. So if you bring me something new and I don't know it, I'll be here by your side trying to work on this new thing that we don't know, but I will be here to guide you. Understanding this for me as a coach, that this can happen and just being there, it's something that helps. It takes you a lot of weight out at the beginning also, that I'm here just to help guys. So just count on me to for anything. But I would like you to maybe give some advice or tips for those guys that maybe don't have all the experience that you had and they're getting into a class for the first time. What things did you work on? You have mentioned a couple of them, but some tips for that guy that is almost stepping into a CrossFit class and he has been 3 years training CrossFit, but it's the first CrossFit class, so he doesn't know everything.
Of course.
How do you shift? What will be your approach?
I think just honesty. Just, hey, this is my first class, guys. I might make a few mistakes. You know what I mean? That eases, I'm going to make a few mistakes.
What we're doing here, it's
you come in with this idea that I got to be perfect today. It's like, no. Hey, it's my first class today, guys. I might make a few mistakes. I really appreciate you guys being here for this, and I'm just going to keep getting better, and I'll get better the more I do this. And having this approach, because I think people appreciate that, that's, I say some things like that in class, and I've had people come in and visit. They're like, I've never heard anyone talk like this, It's very nice.
Completely, at some point, it's you have a barbell of 100 kilos above, and when you start saying all this, you just take it out, you know, and you start feeling a little bit of more comfortable.
Exactly.
And people also feel this humbleness with you. And it's it's completely a good tip that you're being humble and honest. Like
Yeah.
ser honesto y sincero claramente es una de las.
And I think that also breaks down a little bit the barrier. I'm very adamant about trying to make people as comfortable as possible to let me know if I made the mistake, if I didn't do something, you know what I mean? That I don't want them to be nervous. I'm like, oh no, this is, I do it this way. It's like, no, I made a mistake. Oh, my bad. That's sorry about that. Let me make sure to improve. And also I can come up to one of my students, hey, could you hear me from over there? Was I being loud enough? That's, that kind of thing. I think filming a class that you teach and watching back is probably a great tip as well.
Okay.
Right. And like, okay. It's like, okay, I got to do this a little bit more.
I was going for one of these now. Iba por una de estas. Yesterday, 2 days ago, my first class, I found it at the gym. I had the big honor of training with this guy for my first class and even doing some sparring, so it's like a big honor. Tuve el honor de hacer sparring con este señor en mi primera clase, pero comentaste algo, you mentioned something that made me think a lot. And it was like how you auto-analyze yourself. And you said you were talking about a technique. He was talking about, estaba hablando de una técnica y es como él se analiza cuando hace la técnica. Dijo que él sabía si hacía una técnica bien o mal en función de cuánta fuerza había aplicado. Si él, después de aplicar la técnica, sentía que había hecho mucha fuerza, la técnica estaba mal. So he said that if he felt like he was doing a lot of strength to make the technique, this technique was wrong. I want you to use or try to find the same way that you work when you have a good class or a bad class. What do you have to have in count? And what do you analyze at the end of like, oh man, we all have these feelings of, oh fuck, this class was, it was terrible.
Yes.
Where do you feel this?
So let's say I'm teaching a class with 20 people or like this class that you went, right? There was maybe 6 people there. And I can see how well the people are able to do the move, right? And I'm watching all the time. If they're not able to do the move, I used to get very frustrated. And then I realized I just didn't teach well. That's my fault. It's not their fault. So then I sometimes, hold on. So everyone's making some common mistake. Hold on. Let's add this little detail here, So I think I think about jiu-jitsu all the time. So sometimes I teach Monday night. Monday night, I'd say, is my worst class of the week because I teach the same class all week. And then by Saturday, I've already seen what mistakes people do, what movements they have trouble with, all these things. So by Saturday, I'm already much more refined. You know what I mean? So, but before Monday, like on usually Thursday already, I'm starting to think of next week's class. I usually try to kind of tell a story, like the class we did, right? It was like adding on, and it was like, oh, but what about this? Oh, and what about this? And you kind of get this story as opposed to just teaching random techniques, right? And I want to have kind of a common theme so that you kind of understand the broader picture as well as some of the details.
Nice. I wanted to mention this because quería mencionar esto porque para mí la autocrítica, like being critical to yourself, it's one of the main things that make you improve a lot. And there are some times that we don't have this and we don't want to analyze this. Just in the same road that you were talking, en la misma orientación de lo que él estaba diciendo, for example, when we do like same classes in CrossFit, your first class, you say, oh fuck, this warm-up, make the class get super lost. I'm going to change this. I'm going to change this.
Yeah.
Without the criticizing yourself and like analyzing what you're doing wrong, you're going to do the same class, and not evolve. So that was why we were wanting to talk about it. El no analizarte a ti mismo, que es lo que él estaba comentando. La primera clase del lunes, por ejemplo, es mucho peor que la última clase del viernes porque ha evolucionado cada una de sus clases y ha ido viendo cómo absorbían mejor el contenido los chicos, pero sin una autocrítica que me parece fundamental, esta evolución de clase a clase nunca sucede, así que muy en la línea. Entonces, ¿cómo sería o qué tiene? What does a perfect class for Thomaz Elias have? ¿Qué tiene una clase perfecta para Thomaz Elias?
So a lot of times I will watch the sparring when people are sparring, or I sometimes will go visit other schools and train with other friends, things like this. And I try to find sometimes something that I see a lot of people making a mistake on. And one thing that I found out after some experience is a lot of times if I tell people, don't put your hand there, somebody's gonna catch you. They don't really get it. But if I teach everyone to catch them when they put their hand down, and now they tap every time they do it, everyone does it. So I reverse this kind of idea. And now I think a perfect class would be something I teach, and a lot of people in 2 months, I see a lot of people using the same idea, and I go, okay, that was
So you got
a good
it
class.
with the time,
Yeah.
not in the same moment, but if you see that what
No.
you have teach develops in time,
Exactly.
is when you really feel it. No?
Exactly, because sometimes the technique's not gonna be there that day or anything like this. I want to see if in the future everyone is making now this, not making this mistake anymore, or
Okay.
attacking this thing that's open there. So I think that's what I always am trying to look for.
Ok,